Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. It's Eric Wolf. I serve as the Executive Director of the World Food Travel Association, and it is 5 p.m. in London on Thursday, April 18, 2019. And it is my pleasure today to introduce to you Olivia Duff. She will be talking about how food forward rural areas can attract more visitors. And Olivia is one of those people that once you see her, you know you want to talk to her, you want to meet her. She's always got the smile. Olivia, I don't think I've ever seen you without a smile. Is
Hello, Eric.
is that possible?
Well, sometimes when I'm with the kids, maybe.
Oh, okay. But Olivia is she is one of the leading people in her area outside of Dublin. It's called Boyne Valley, and it's about, well, between 40 minutes and an hour outside of Dublin, depending on where you're going. And she has been one of the Fellta Ireland's food champions, which means an official representative in her area for Fellta Ireland. And so Olivia, she certainly knows her stuff. She's active and proactive, and I think that we're really looking forward to what you have to say, Olivia. How you can tie it all together and tie it into this over tourism issue. And I'm just going to shut up and turn it over to you, and I'm going to turn off my sound and my video.
Okay. And for me to bring in, yeah, okay. So, oh gosh.
And are you going to be broadcasting your video today?
Yeah, so just to share my screen, sorry.
Mouse over the lower control panel, and you'll see the share button.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Just give me 1 second. It's gone. Okay, sorry, my presentation that it was on my desktop is gone. Just one
Oh,
second.
okay.
Sorry.
I'll give you a minute to find it. You have a look at that, Olivia. I'm going to mute
Okay.
you. And
Can I just leave and come back, or how can I go back to my desktop? I'm sorry about this. Just 1 sec.
go back to your desktop.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Zoom may have maximized itself. You're on a Mac?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not good with Mac. I don't know how to get back to the desktop on a Mac.
Okay.
Jane knows how to get back to the desktop on a Mac. Jane?
Can you see that now?
Can't see anything yet.
Yeah, if you double click, it will take you out of full screen.
Yeah. And I have my presentations on Keynote there, and I have it on just up. So last week I was just sharing it. How am I sharing?
So hover with your mouse
Yeah.
over the video, and the toolbar should pop up at the bottom, and there'll be a green share screen button. You click on that, and then you can select share.
Okay. Yeah, it's just in desktop though. Oh yeah,
Oh,
there you go.
there it is.
Yeah.
What's this?
Phew.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay. Okay. Are we good?
Yes, it looks great.
Okay. Phew, thankfully. Thank you so much. All right. Hello, everybody. Sorry about the false start there. Okay. Can I go ahead, Eric?
Yes, please do.
Okay. You're all very welcome. I'd just like to present, first of all, where I'm coming from. I'm a hotelier based in the Boyne Valley here in Ireland. Also a food producer and a very, very passionate foodie. Happiest in my wellies rather than a suit. Sorry, there was me with my turkeys. So I suppose I just want to talk to you about first thing that comes to mind when you think of probably Irish food and the challenges we've had in a rural context. Historically, you know, there's been a really great association with beer and potatoes, and you know, whilst we like to celebrate that part of our heritage, there's very much a new movement coming to the fore in Ireland at the moment. And just to give you a sense of where we've come from, in a brochure aimed at the French market in 1974, they said Ireland is certainly not the country of gastronomy, but there's no need to denigrate Irish cuisine as a whole. With modesty, we let those who know make complicated culinary preparations. What we serve is first and foremost simple. So I suppose that's still a very nice philosophy, that we do like to have simplicity at the core of what we do. But, you know, that statement was a little bit degenerative and, you know, very much saying that, listen, don't expect much of your food when you come to Ireland. You can go to stay in France if you want to focus on food. So hopefully I'm going to show you that we've come a long way. At the moment, this comes from our food and drink strategy 2018 to 2023 in Ireland. Tourists to Ireland, their food and drink interest was gauged, and 10%, and I think I had this conversation only recently with Eric, 10% are pure food enthusiasts. And that's very significant, because that really is food tourism at its best. That person who's just coming maybe for the Michelin experience, but they are very much a minority. 10% then is our general tourist, which, you know, maybe food is sustenance to them. But the piece of the pie that we're really interested in here is that 80% of our visitors are food positive tourists. And so that means they are the ones who are the culturally curious, the social invigorators, you know, the ones who are here maybe for the heritage and the landscape, but food is really, really important to them. And from a rural food tourism context and food in tourism, this is really, really important, because food can really influence where they go and the experience that they want to have. So just our food and drink value in tourism, you know, it's 35% of total revenue. This is from 2017. So, you know, in every experience that our guest has, 35% of their revenue spend is currently on food and drink in tourism. And this is growing and growing. And so the new Ireland, the new culinary destination, what is, you know, we like to think there's the Nordic cuisine craze, the South American, Peruvian, you know, amazing things that are happening there, and we're all watching it. But we have a new cultural phenomenon that is happening around food, and much of that is in a rural context. Our latest Michelin star of 2018 last year went to a picture there of the Wild Honey Inn in Lisdoonvarna, which is a pub. So, you know, what's that saying to us? It's saying that standards are going up and up and up, but the scene is so much more casual, and the guest and the visitor is looking for authenticity. And it's probably one of my favorite words is authenticity, not certainly high end. I think it's going more and more casual, but they want authenticity and they want experience. And only last month, our own region was named in National Geographic of the world's best food destinations in 2019. So on that, I'm going to bring you on a little tour of the Boyne Valley. So Boyne Valley, looking at rural food destinations and food forward destinations, I hope this will resonate with many of you, that, you know, the focus and the heat maps of many visitor hotspots are around the major urban destinations within all of our countries. In Ireland, the obvious one is Dublin. We've our other main cities, Galway, Limerick, Cork, and up to Belfast, of course, is only 90 minutes now from Dublin. So just getting the visitor outside and to think of of choosing an outside destination, getting outside the city, can be a real challenge. And so the Boyne Valley, as you can see, it's the area there in green on the map. The Boyne Valley actually only starts about 30 minutes outside the city. So we're very, very fortunate of accessibility, and we have a really good new motorway system that runs right through the district. But what's quite different about what we have done starting is that the Boyne Valley incorporates two different municipal districts. So we have County Meath and County Louth, and what significance that has in challenge, as I'm sure it has in many other countries, is that you're dealing with two separate local authorities, two separate tourism organisations, two separate local, councils, etc., etc. So the complexities there are quite significant when you go about marketing the destination as a go-to zone. But my point here is to put ourselves in the shoes of the visitor. This has always been my mantra, that the visitor never knows where a boundary starts and finishes. Like when we think of Provence, when we think of maybe Basque country, do we really know where they start and where exactly they finish in a geographical context? And the answer is probably not. But rather, it's the experience that we can offer that visitor. My measuring stick is always really within a 60-minute radius. So the Boyne Valley, very much an area based on heritage. The crown of our jewel is in the picture there, is Newgrange, a visitor centre in Irish called Brú na Boinne, 5,000 years old, older than the pyramids of Giza in Egypt. And Stonehenge in the UK, but only 45 minutes to Dublin Airport, only 50 minutes to Dublin city centre. So the visitor that has historically in the past come to our region has been a heritage and historical junkie, but now in modern context, that's more of the visitor who's a culturally curious person, and the culturally curious go hand in hand with loving their food. And if they love immersive experiences such as walking in these ancient tombs, visiting ancient Anglo-Norman castles, as we've the largest in Europe where Braveheart was filmed, they also love the prospect of an immersive experiential food experience. And so this is where we came up with our Boyne Valley Flavors brand. It's something that has been in development for almost 6 years now. We started off with a food series in just the county of Meath, but as the region started to portray itself as a valley and celebrating our landscape and our heritage, it was only made sense that the food celebration should also follow suit. And only last year we launched this new brand called Discover Boyne Valley Flavors, our parent tourism brand being Discover Boyne Valley, and Flavors, of course, encompassing food and drink, because in Ireland you'll get in terrible trouble if you ignored the drinks piece. So a small piece from me. I really hope this works.
We are in the heart of the Boyne Valley, just outside Pell, County Meath, right in the centre of harvest time, where the farmer is the most important time of the year. We've just a small farm, 15 acres, where we produce seasonal goose exhibit, and free-range turkey for the Christmas market. We also do lamb direct from the farm as well, and we're just about to launch our free-range rabbit. But our philosophy, which differentiates, I suppose, what we do, is that we farm as nature intended. We farm as they would have farmed about 100 years ago. We do free range, I say, as nature would have liked it. Ireland's ancient East is a story that spans 5,000 years, set in the most lush green landscape, and we would like to think that in this region we have absolutely amazing stories to tell. The visitor loves authenticity, and we have authenticity in bucket here. History, heritage, land and food are all completely intertwined, and it's about bringing those things together that you create a wonderful experience for the visitor or the tourist coming to the area. We're taking retail, we're taking packaging, we're taking everything out of the equation, and we're just giving you a raw experience that is exactly as our forefathers did. We're taking away the commercial marketing and branding and imaging, and whereby we need a little bit of that to lure in the visitor. In the actual experience itself, we're just saying to you, this is our landscape, this is who we are, now taste it and listen to the stories that we have to tell you on how that happens. If we stay as close to this land and what it gives us, keep as close to it as possible, we have an amazing story to tell.
Oh. Am I back? Eric, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you, but
Sorry.
there we
Sorry.
go.
Okay, sorry
your
about
video's
that.
back.
Okay, phew. Okay, sorry. I'm going to have to brush up on my technical skills, guys. Sorry. Okay, so just getting back to food strategy in a rural context, in a food-forward context. It was very much identified in 2016 after kind of 5 years of developing a food series based on immersive experiential events over the course of what started at 6 months and kind of is now almost a 12-month campaign, that we needed a roadmap to bring this rural and this inter-county region to the fore as a proper food destination. So these were the pillars after much interaction and collaboration with our neighbours in County Louth. These are the pillars that were identified to create a Louth Mead Food Network, which is now called the Boyne Valley Network. As a result, I'm delighted to report, to become the food champion of Ireland's ancient East. So I hope that video gave you a little idea of Ireland's ancient East being the mothership, if you like, of brand from Fáilte Ireland, and Boyne Valley being a drop down of that, to develop the micro food economy, because I'm very, very much of the belief that Ireland's food identity, and many of our, especially in a European context, that our actual visual identity from our food cultures will be hinged, or will be gathered from our small producers and the brilliant the brilliant things that they do. To target our 90-minute drive visitors, so that's our person coming out from Dublin that we really wanted to kind of target. And as a result, now we have a daily food tour coming out from Dublin to the Boyne Valley every single day in the summer months over the course of 5 months. So that's been a really great win, but we're still working on getting inside that urban visitor. To strengthen the food business skill set, and of course in strategizing and working longer term, we need to improve the business mindset of the smaller producers, and to implement this strategy, of course, we needed some professional assistance. So we now have a food development officer and a food office, thankfully, in the region, following a really big voluntary campaign for a number of years. So West Cork was always known as the crown in Ireland's the jewel in Ireland's food crown. Even they were producing the first farmhouse cheeses, etc., etc. And so in 2015, when we started making a little bit of noise, Maria Moynihan, a journalist here, wrote, "West Cork might have blazed the trail when it came to good food, but cooperation and creative thinking is now putting the Boyne Valley on the map." And so this is one of my greatest mantras, is that in a rural context, very little can be achieved, or maybe in a positive way to put that so much more can be achieved through cooperation, collaboration, and creative thinking, but creative thinking together. Because of course, in an urban context, it's so much more difficult to do something, to achieve something alone. The Boyne Valley Flavors brand, creating the brand has been very, very important to us, and there we kind of have three legs to it underneath the umbrella of the overall arching brand. So the first there on the left of the screen is the food series. So it's our immersive calendar of events that spans over now 9 months of the year. We have a very, very strict criteria. We have our producers network, and I'll show you that producers map now in a moment, and our Place on a Plate initiative, which invites restaurants and eateries, and of course our casual pub culture, which has had to rejuvenate itself in Ireland in excelling in food offering. The Irish pub has been dead and gone, thanks to our new legislation with drinking and driving, etc., etc. And there's been a cultural mindset, a shift in cultural mindset to offer really great food. And as I said, the Wild Honey Inn in Lisdoonvarna last year gained its first Michelin star as a pub. So Boyne Valley Food Series, almost 50 events per year, really bringing together the two counties, now spanning 9-10 months with a view to all year round collaboration. But criteria is the key. We're very, very strict at who we let in. We say no more than we say yes, and it's based on an experiential excellence. So, really keeping it simple, but connecting with the source, and collaboration between different businesses, cross collaboration between restaurants, producers, farms and eateries. That has been the key for us in a rural context. And of course, it's something that the urban eatery can't maybe do. Connecting with the source is something for me that I think is absolutely a linchpin to success with rural food tourism. Often the urban, and especially the urban international visitor, absolutely loves the opportunity to just simply visit a farm. These pictures are from our own farm at home, where we offer an experience called Ireland's Ancient Eats. I play a course on the brand of Ireland's Ancient East. And we've built, we call it, the woodshed. We've built a wood-fired oven, and we do everything over fire with ancient grains when we cook our bread. All the meat that we cook is from the farm, or whatever is in season, foraged, etc. This was actually from harvest time, and those two ladies there are two white witches. So we had a candle lighting ceremony, etc. And we very much work with the ancient sites of the region, celebrating, our history and our ancient roots. Just again about the importance of immersive, authentic experiences. The day for the visitor to just go and view something, or to just visit an exhibition, is very much gone. Visitors want to touch, feel, and be in the centre. And we have an event coming up next week, which is a blossom walk just in the orchards with the cider maker, and it's always a sellout. just some of our example of some of our events, and some of the ways to describe them: forgotten skills, family friendly, be somebody for a day, get under the skin of a farmer, solstice candlelight suppers, all over fire, celebrating the different seasons. So very much carving out the uniqueness of a rural destination, and having one up really on our urban neighbours. Our producers network, just going through this very quickly because I'm going to run out of time. But again, these are some of the things that we've set down: members charter. We work on events, promotions, networking events. We offer them online support, your opportunities, training. We bring fam trips from the city out to the producers to keep them reignited and involved. And as I said, last year we started a Boyne Valley Food Producers Day tour out of the city. And our place on a plate, this is something that is quite new this year. Well, it's always been there for those restaurants championing it, but we've put it into a formal charter for our eateries in the region to keep the farmer close. Each restaurant that takes part in the charter must source 40% of their produce local and bring the Boyne Valley Flavours brand onto the menu. And of course, it's policed by the producers. So if a chef is stating that they're putting something on a menu and the producer hasn't received an order from them within 6 months, well, then it's policed by the producer, contacts the Boyne Valley Flavours office and lets them know that. Okay. Our producers map, then, just to go back there, our producers map, we've just, this has just come out 2 weeks ago. We launched our map, and this is going to, we're just having a tea towel production. So I'm sure I'll be sending some tea towels out around the globe to say to people, put this up in your kitchen or come visit soon. But also the map is going to be up on the walls of those restaurants and eateries who align themselves and purchase at least 40% of their produce will be awarded the Boyne Valley Producers Map for their walls. Festivals, just within, again, working collaboratively. We've had, within the food series, a calendar of really successful festivals that, again, encourage that collaboration and the co-opetition. So there is a lot of, eateries, pubs, high-end restaurants that are in competition with each other. But, for example, last year we had a Boyne Valley Bites Trail. That came, the inspiration actually came after following a visit to Porto, and they had a really great tapas trail there, and we brought it back and brought back the idea. Public engagement, a constant public engagement, of course, digital, and it was so inspiring to listen to the last talk on Bristol. I really picked up some really great findings there. But just a constant drip feed on all social platforms, bringing our rural context of our destination to life and to a global audience. This year we've launched our new website, and also we've to encourage our producer network in general. We've launched our gift voucher scheme, and of course education. Between climate change and our next generation, if we don't mind our children in food and educate them, we have nothing. We're very proud that we have the first certificate in business development for food tourism also in the region. So working and collaborating again with the second primary, first and second and third level institutions has been really, really important to us. So looking to the future, our ambition is to be the #1 food destination in Ireland with international appeal, and I'd like to think that we're fairly well there, exploring new opportunities for twinning and partnerships. rolling out our food strategy, which is kind of up to 2021, staying, strong on our PR and online presence, but bringing our experiential offerings constantly online through our different platforms. It's not just about a splash, it's about a drip feed every single day. So whether it's giving the Twitter handle to a farmer for the week, live videos from various farms and producers, it's just bringing it to life and constantly inviting the visitor to come. And of course, this has been run by our food development officer. And that focus of one river with two counties celebrating our landscape is really unique to us, resulting in 200 business members now. So the key learnings just on development in a rural context. For me, there is magic in simplicity. Just to remember that certainly attracting the visitor outside the urban centres, that sometimes it's not just about a glossy, a visitor centre, but it might just be about walking with the farmer. It might just be about meeting the producer, taking the honey from the hives with the beekeeper. Those are the really, really simple things. Often we just make bread over fire on our farm and people rave about it. Success leaves clues. So we would have very much looked at other successful destinations. As a food champion with Poach Ireland, I very much travelled to Sweden and Denmark and Canada and had a look at other templates, and having a look at some of the benchmarking ourselves off some of the things that they had done and bringing it home with us. So just, I suppose, to keep a constant eye out on successful models of development. Collaboration. If I haven't said it once, I've probably said it 30 times in the last 20 minutes, but collaboration in a rural context is the linchpin for me. It is so much more difficult to do anything in single format. And the visitor's mindset is priority, but not particularly yours. And what I mean by that is that you may have a wonderful idea for your village or for your farm, etc., in a food tourism context. But if that's not what your target visitor wants visiting your region, well, then you're wasting your time. So to do your research there and have a look and see who is your target market, what are they enjoying, and what kind of immersive experience would appeal to them before developing your experience. And finally, vision is like a marriage, it needs work. So it's great having a wonderful plan, but that plan also needs to be worked and rolled out. So, goal setting with a strategic approach is critical. I was going to play that. Do I have time for that or not? I'm not sure if I have time. I'm going to chance my
How
arm.
long is it?
It's just a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Even. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. It's 32 seconds. Okay, so that's all for me.
My team and I always had trouble managing our tasks until one of my colleagues found Monday.com.
Oh my gosh, I'm mortified. So sorry. Can you still see me?
No, your video is off, Olivia.
Okay.
I mean, I see your screen, I see your desktop, but I don't see you.
I don't know what's going on. I'm really sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. That's
There
okay.
we go. All right. There we go. Phew, we're back. Okay. Right. Yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much for having me. Sorry about those couple of blips. I hope you've taken a few findings from that can be maybe brought to your destination. Certainly from a rural context, I would say that the development of our brand in the Boyne Valley has taken 5 years to gain traction. But when it does, it really pays off, and it has been such an enjoyable journey that I hope some of you might come and consider visiting.
Well, Olivia, thank you. That was really interesting. And I one of the people who have experienced your hospitality. I've done the Ireland's Ancient Eats thing with you. I've been to the place that was in the last video, and I know what Boyne Valley has to offer, and it's a great experience. The nice thing is that everything is really close. So yes, you need a car, but things are 5-minute drive apart from each other. So while people are thinking about any questions that you would like to ask, and go ahead and put those into the chat window, I thought of some questions that I'd like to ask you.
Okay.
So first of all, how do tourists in central Dublin hear about Boyne Valley, and how do they decide to get there?
Yeah, sure. So the Dublin piece, I feel, is something that we still haven't fully tapped into, and I suppose we very much leaned on our mothership brands, and that would be my advice to any rural destination, that to really have a look at all of the supports that are there, and as I said, success leaves clues. So if there are various campaigns that are working really, really well in an urban rural context, go suss them out and see how's that happening and how can you get a slice of that action. So, for example, we've been in touch, we've aligned ourselves very, very closely with Fáilte Ireland and the Ireland's Ancient East brand, and they've done a lot of work for us in rolling out our coverage in Dublin. We would have all of our brochures, and I mean, it's quite old-fashioned in some ways that you would have your brochure in every tourist centre. But if the visitor is coming to Dublin for 5 days, one of the first places they're going to go, apart from having done their search online, is they're going to go to the tourist centre. So it's really, really important that all of the Dublin outlets know our story, and they know how close we are and that they can recommend us. So even last year, we did our launch last year in Dublin City, to kind of gain a foothold there and say, hey Dublin, we're here, we've arrived, we want you to come out to us instead of the other way around. And that was really successful for us.
So do you host fam trips for staff from the visitor centres in Dublin?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just constantly work with Fáilte, just, throwing it out there, saying, who have you coming in? What can we offer them? Oh, well, they're on a historic fam trip this time, but that's no longer relevant because history and food and culture and food, they're all intertwined. So I can't accept anymore that it's not a food fam trip. Of course it's a food fam trip, because 35% of the revenue of every visitor is food. So why not give them a wonderful food experience, and have a look at the opportunity there. So you just have to push a little bit as well. Yeah.
When we were talking last week, you had an interesting idea about, I'm calling it reverse tourism, to get people to overnight in Boyne Valley and go to Dublin for a day trip instead of vice versa. How is that working out?
Yeah, so Dublin is at over capacity at the moment, or I should say bed nights is under capacity. So they're really, really struggling with, in particular, tour operators and the smaller groups also. You have your FIT, your independent travellers too. But so for the first time ever, in 2018, we saw the tour operator model for the very first time. It was total virgin territory, that they would stay out with us in the Boyne Valley, in Kells and Navan and Trim, and would work their way back into Dublin on a 2 or 3 night stay, which was just wonderful for us. but also we are now pitching ourselves as a first night or a last night destination. So, saying to the visitor and saying to the operator, and it's taken a while to convince them of this, but if you can, entice them, it's obviously going to be a lot of the time it's going to be rate driven. But if you can really entice them with authentic experience, they are willing to pay a little bit more, and say to them, instead of spending your last night in an airport motel or a hotel that's soulless, why not come and stay with us, a 4-star family run hotel, and do our 30-mile menu. And often on the last day, they'll give their groups maybe a little bit of downtime because they're in departure mode. So we'll suggest that maybe they go and en route to us, stop at a couple of producers or stop at the mill out the road and mill their own flour, bring it to us, and then we make the bread for their dinner with that flour, and it's produced on the menu as the 30-mile radius menu, and they just love it.
I love that. Yeah. I think, a real takeaway here for other destinations is, rather than building brand new 500 room, 1,000 room hotels in the city center and changing the cityscape by doing that, put people in the rural areas, in the suburbs, out in the countryside, and bring them into the city. Do it reverse, and that way it spreads the wealth, but also reduces the impact on the city infrastructure, which we all know it costs money. It's expensive to install new pipes and new electrical wires and new cell phone towers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a key takeaway there also is that the luxury market, the top luxury market, is really a very small percentage. And what the visitor yearns most of all is an authentic experience. While there's obviously has to be, ground rules of basic, or, I'd like to think more than basic needs satisfied. I think it's, I say to all our team at home in the hotel, we're in the business of happiness. And what makes that tourist happy is to feel that they've experienced some piece of culture and they've got under the skin of, in an experiential way, rather than just visited and maybe just kind of looked at something, but rather to touch and feel and immerse. They're my keywords.
Okay. Last question. You mentioned your cooperation on the slide about West Cork, and you also talked about collaboration with your area partners. Can you say a bit more about the cooperation you've witnessed, either within your region or with another region, and what do partnership and collaboration mean to you?
Yeah, so I did mention this presentation, but for example, we have an amazing story with the Boyne. So the Boyne is in Clare and Galway, and they're very like Boyne Valley because they're right on the west coast, but they also span over 2 counties, 2 interterritorial areas. And this, for me, is just, it's all about getting inside the mindset of the visitor, doesn't know boundaries, but they love a story. And so collaboration between territories is just a wonderful opportunity to tell a story. There's the story that the cattle were always wintered in the Boyne on this lunar landscape, put out during the winter. And there's a phenomenon that they would come back from the winter actually fatter than they went out because of this amazing landscape. And then they were finished on the pastures and the green of the Boyne up to the Boyne Valley, but the cattle were walked from the Boyne to the Boyne. So we've had a series of interterritorial dinners with the Boyne, celebrating this wonderful food history and food cultural piece that we have between us. So my advice to any rural destinations is to find a story, collaborate on it, and then learn how to tell that story really, really well. And all I'd say is watch this space that we hope to develop this story between the Boyne Valley and the Burren, which would make sense in so many ways, because it would gel the brands of Ireland's Ancient East and Wild Atlantic Way. And in terms of the visitor, it would keep the visitor in Boyne Valley for maybe a couple of nights, and then down to the Burren for a couple of nights, while taking them out of those critical mass urban centres.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, Olivia, thank you so much. I think we need to wrap up for today, but
No problem.
that was really interesting. Love hearing about what you're doing. And like I've said to your other colleagues, Sinead and also John, I just love anyone from Ireland speak at our events. I love your accents.
Oh, thank you, Eric.
Just love it. I wish I could speak with an Irish accent. But anyway.
Come over and teach you.
All right, it's a deal. We'll have to do it over some nice beer and some mead, maybe. How's that?
Oh, I'll have you jumping a jig over a fire.
There you go. Jumping a jig, just like a leprechaun, right?
Happy Easter.
No stereotypes there.
No,
right.
no.
Well, Olivia, thank you again so much. It was a true pleasure.
Thank you. I feel really privileged to have had the chance. You do such great work, Eric, and really delighted to have taken part. Thank you so much.
It's our pleasure, Olivia. Thank you.
All right. Okay.